Hey guys, Prowl1701 here. Today we're going to be reviewing Galaxy 4. Isn't that a gorgeous steelbook? Absolutely love this steelbook. And today we're going to be looking at the telesnap reconstruction and the surviving footage. Because believe it or not, it's my favorite way to view this story. Now, I like all three ways. I do enjoy the animation, the color animation, and the black and white animation. It kind of boils down to which one I'm in the mood to watch. But I really did get in the mood for wanting to rewatch Galaxy 4. But I do prefer the telesnap reconstruction. That, of course, is the closest version to the what we actually had in 1960, what, 5, 6, whenever this aired, 65, I believe. And I like the fact that of the 4 parts, it's a 4-parter. Episode 3 does exist. It was recovered, I think, around 2011. But we also have part of episode 1 exists. We have just under 6 minutes of episode 1 that exists. So we actually get about a fourth of episode 1 that's intact. That's really neat. That's really cool to see. We don't normally get a clip of a missing episode that long. Matter of fact, I think this is the longest one of a story that's not complete or close enough to complete. We call it complete. I think technically episode 3 is not complete. It's missing a few seconds at the end. But they cover that up very cleverly. So it's really neat that you're actually getting to watch a fourth of this story complete and then another 16th or so of the story complete. And then the recon itself is really good for this one. It does some nice CGI work in places, especially with the Chumleys. And I love the Chumleys. I love the Chumleys. I just love the Chumleys. They're like friendly Daleks in a way. They're nice and sweet. I love the little noises they make and their design. The little sound it makes is when they're popping out of their little shell. I love that. They're just adorable. They're like teddy bears. I love them. And they just come across as so innocent and friendly. I love the Chumleys. And I feel like the animation does the Chumleys fine, but I really like them better when you can see the actual production and the pictures and the CGI they do. They're just something more adorable about them, honestly. The animation is still good. Between the animation, I probably actually prefer the color animation because I love the way the colors pop. They went with a very 60s Star Trek style look, very Technicolor with the animation, which I like, with the orange sky and everything. And I think that looks really good. If I want to see the story in black and white, I'm far more likely to just watch the surviving footage and the recon. But the black and white version of the animation is fine. My biggest issue with the animation, why I prefer the surviving story, is I don't like how they redesigned the reel encampment that the reels use, because in the actual production, it does look more like an encampment. This little thing that's kind of thrown together that you can tell is very obviously outside of their ship. Whereas in the animation, they make it look like you're inside the ship. Instead of just being inside an encampment connected to the ship, you look like you're inside the ship. And I don't know, just the inside of the real ship doesn't do much for me. It just it's a little uninteresting. Even with the circuit board design, it doesn't do much for me. I much prefer the kind of makeshift encampment that the actual production did. And because they're so different, it makes trying to watch the surviving episode 3 with the black and white animation or the color animation really jarring. Like, if I'm going to watch the animation, I have to watch all of it animated. If I want to watch the surviving episode 3, I watch it with the recons. That works far better for me because those are so different. Hartnell's face in the animation is a little off. Not bad. Nothing to really bother me. It's something I make note of. Steven's face is also a little off. Vicky's face is very good. And then the face for Marga, or whatever her name is, and the clones, they're just kind of basic and plain, kind of soulless, which they are kind of cold and soulless in a way. I guess that kind of works. Now, it's neat that they make all the clones look alike when, of course, they didn't in the original production, which I kind of like in the original production because it's kind of neat being able to tell which one of them is which. I know one of the girls I played, the injured one that showed up briefly in a flashback too. But I kind of like the little differences between them, even though they're supposed to be clones of each other. And the animation does get that across. I don't like the fact they made them a little taller, more Amazon-like. I don't know why. I don't care for that. I don't mind them being tall, but not overly tall like that. But that's just a little nitpick. And then the actress who plays Maga or whatever her name is, I don't like some of the times when she's looking dead at the camera. Well, like the one time when she turns around and does this when she's giving the flashback to the ship. I actually like that in the animation. You actually see the flashback of the ships battling better. But then there's that scene in episode 3 when she's looking at the camera and she's talking about, and we will look back and see this world burn and know they have died. She's doing a great performance there because you see the kind of fever in her eyes and almost joy she's taking in it. And then they will die. You know, that's pretty good. And then there's a couple other times where her facial expressions really sell the scene, like when Steven's in the airlock and he realizes he can't get out because there's a Chumley on the other side and he doesn't realize the Chumley's friendly. When he looks back at her, she's smiling like... You know, the animation just kind of loses that, whereas the actress playing her pulls that off really well. So I like having that. There's also the scene where when Hartnell and Vicky disarm one of the clones, I don't like how in the animation Hartnell just smooth punches her in the face, which is very un-Doctor-like, especially the first Doctor. And in the surviving episode, episode 3, instead, while Vicky's distracting her, he uses his cane to like knock it out of her hand or like knock her down. He uses his cane to, you know, tell her enough. That works better for me. Him taking his cane and kind of catching her arms, kind of popping her on the arms to kind of knock her down works a little better than him just full on decking her right in the face, which the animation does. It's so weird to me. It's so off. So I much prefer the surviving version of that. And then again, it's one of the best recons to me, like actual recons. I like the way the recon is put together. It flows really smoothly. I have no trouble following what's going on. I guess maybe also because it's a 4-parter, maybe because episode 3 exists and part of episode 1 exists, so you get kind of a break from the recon stuff. But the recon itself just feels well put together. This is easily one of the best recons I've ever watched. I'm never like, oh, a recon. I'm never doing that. I'm fine with the recon. Again, I prefer it over the animation, even though, again, it comes down to which one I'm in the mood for. But if I was ranking them, it would be probably black and white animation, color animation, surviving footage with recon at number 1. And then Hartnell's putting in a good performance. I think Steve and Vic, I think the whole cast are fine. They're all putting in good performances. The guy doing the real voice is really good. I like him. The Chumleys are just... I love the Chumleys. But Hartnell's performance is really good. I like that. You know, I never take life, or I never kill, or whatever he says. I like that. It's a shame that the poor doctor had to lose that later, but I like that. And neither does anyone that travels with me. I like how, this is your last chance. Very likely. I just love the way William Hartnell is performing in this. And everything he's doing. The sets look really good, which I like the animation too. The animation does a really good job, again, of giving it that more otherworldly feel. But the actual sets used in the surviving footage and the recons look good. It's obviously a set, and you can see the painted backdrops, but it looks really good, especially with the real encampment with it, where you can kind of see the background of the planet through the kind of translucent, foggy, whatever it is they have put up there for the encampment. It looks really, really good. I actually really love that original production encampment design. And then I enjoy the story a lot. I really like the story to Galaxy 4. People are like, well, it's a bit simplistic. Well, yes, but it's a children's show. Especially then, it was very much a children's show. It's teaching an important lesson for children to learn of not judging a book by its cover. It is very much teaching a lesson to children that you shouldn't judge by appearance. You shouldn't judge by looks alone. That's the whole point of the episode, of course. And of course, any episode where they're like, just so you know, the attractive blonde women are evil and bad, sign me up for it, because I'm like, yes. Everyone should know that lesson. Kids, adults, yes. You guys know my running joke with Galaxy 4 that I'm not the most trusting of blondes. I'm just not. Relationship stuff has just conditioned me that way. Or life has conditioned me that way. So that's always a fun little running gag for me to joke about. But yeah, you know, it's not a stretch for me to go, so you're saying the evil, disgusting-looking creatures are the good guys, while the attractive blondes, are the evil ones. This does not take much of a stretch of my imagination. I have so much fun whenever I talk about Galaxy 4. But that is a good lesson. Is it a simplistic lesson? Yes. And the story doesn't go out of its way to make that a twist at the end. I mean, you can catch on pretty quick, you know, who the good people are, who the bad people are. At the very least, that the Dravens aren't very good people. You know, Hartnell figures that out pretty quick, and so does Vicky and Steven. So it doesn't try to trick you into thinking they're good people and that the Rails are the bad people. But it's still a neat lesson for you to see as the story plays out, where the Rails, who are physically unpleasant to look at, are doing everything they can to help the Doctor and for the Doctor to help them. They're working together. Whereas the Dravens are very selfish and they care only about themselves, and they judge very much based on appearance. And they're sneaky, they're lying, and they're murderers. So it's neat to see that. And I do enjoy the clones' performance as well. I mean, they're having to play kind of simplistic roles, but they do them really well, like the scene when the one girl has to bang the Chumley. That is one thing in the reconstruction that was a little hard. That one scene when they're doing CGI when she's walking up behind the Chumley to hit it. That goes on for far too long. I was sitting there like, oh, just sneak up on it and hit the thing. They could have trimmed that down a little bit. But I think everyone's putting in a good performance. And I like the story. The sets look good. I wish more of it survived, honestly. I'm grateful that we have episode 3. I'm grateful we have the 6-minute or almost 6-minute clip of episode 1. And I'm grateful that the recon is so well put together. I wish all the recons were put together that well. But it's a good story, and I feel like the story carries it for me. It teaches a good lesson. I think it's a perfectly made story for children to see, which was the target audience at the time. And to be honest, considering the book by a cover message, I think it's a good story for adults to see these days, honestly. So that's my thoughts on Galaxy 4. I want to know what you think of the story, what you think of the performances in it, and what version of the story do you prefer? The telesnap reconstruction with surviving footage, the black and white animation, the color animation? Do you watch the animations with the surviving episode 3? I can't do that because the real encampment's just so drastically different. But maybe you prefer that. Comment down below and let's talk about it. Don't forget to click the like button and the subscribe button. I also have a Patreon if you like what I do and would like to support what I do and get early access to videos, exclusive videos, to vote in polls for stuff I review, etc., etc. There is a link to that down there as well. I want to give a shout out to a couple of my top tier patrons, Colin Coney and Stephen Crane. I appreciate their support, as I do the support of all of my patrons. I also have a P.O. box if there's anything you'd like to send me to look at and review. I also have a link to my Amazon wishlist and a link to my Amazon UK wishlist, which I have updated recently. If there's anything on there you would like to send me to look at and review. And most importantly, thank you for watching.